Mary Antoinette.
Nope, her name was Marie.
Let them eat cake.
She actually never said that either. So, after viewing this amazing videos of amendments, you should all be enlightened and know the 10 amendments, the first 10 amendments, also known as the Bill of Rights. I shouldn't even have to make a video right now because that was so good. And if you don't remember the 6th Amendment, the right to a speedy trial, from that scene in Mr. DeVellis' video, I don't think you'll ever understand the 6th Amendment because that was he just summed it up so perfectly. But in case you are more normal and you don't understand what was happening in that video, I am also going to go over the amendments for you. So, let's take a look. What is this? Go away. There we go. All right, so Mr. DeVellis said it right when he said the amendments are a change or add-on to the U.S. Constitution. The word amend means to change. It's a verb. So an amendment is a change or an add-on. So remember, amend means to change. Amendment is a change. So there's 27 changes to the U.S. Constitution. Now, just because every time they make a law, does that mean there's going to be a change? An amendment? No, because we have all of those, well, not all of those, but we have implied powers in the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch that stops us from having to make an amendment, all that. Remember, the Constitution is over 230 years old, so the fact that it has only had 27 changes, 27 amendments, means it's a pretty strong document. So, let's get a little more into this. Too far. All right, so as I said before, there are 27 amendments to date, 2020, right now. What's the date? 14th. It's the 14th. 27 amendments. And the first 10 all came at once. Because if you remember when we talked about the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists were upset and didn't think that the rights for the people in the states were outlined in the Constitution. So the Federalists said, okay, here, boom, first 10 amendments. Give it to you. So they gave them the Bill of Rights. And that that is the people and states' rights. Because number 10, you should all know, is constitutional principle. It's federalism. And that is the sharing of, I want you to think a little, thinking, it's the sharing of power between local, state, and federal governments. So, the other 9 kind of go to the people. Well, not kind of, they do. So, let's look at this. If I say so one more time. These amendments came in 1791, and Mr. DeVellis was correct on that. Because remember that when they got together in 1787, not everyone ratified, which means to approve the Constitution right away. It took a while. But how? How do we do this amendment process? Well, my friends, it's located in Article 5. So in Article 5, it tells you how to amend the Constitution. You need 2/3 vote in both houses of Congress and 3/4 vote in state legislators. And no, he did not do the math in that video. He knows from this PowerPoint that is 38 out of 50 states. 3/4 vote is 38 out of 50. State legislators, meaning, Angela's husband, the state senator, that's what that would mean. All right, so let's dive in to the amendments. First Amendment, the 5 freedoms. Freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, freedom to petition, freedom of religion. What does all that mean, though? You have these freedoms, but can you push them onto other people? No, back up. Hold on to your own stuff, people. And that's what most of you really didn't understand and didn't get in the paragraph that I had you write about the Supreme Court. Supreme Court is not limiting your rights because they want to hold your power and hold your life in the palm of their hands. Some of you wrote that. That was a little dark. No, they limit our rights for the benefit of the many. So yeah, if you want to live in society, and some Enlightenment philosopher said this back in the beginning of the year when we learned it, if you want to live in society, you have to give up some of your rights to benefit the many. And that's why our rights are limited. You have the freedom of speech, but if you go around saying bad things like you're going to hurt people, well, then you get in trouble. You don't have the freedom to do that. You have the freedom to religion, but if you're preaching at school and trying to make people follow you and follow your religion, and you're forcing it on them, you don't have that right. Sorry. So, freedom of speech. You can say what you want, but just remember, if you say really stupid and mean things, that doesn't stop people from trying to hurt you or doing other things to you. So you have these freedoms, but don't be an idiot, okay? So, freedom of the press. The press has the right to write what they want. This is not North Korea. Kim Jong-un cannot come after us and yell at us. But when you lie, when you make up stuff about people, which is lying, when you threaten people's lives, that is all illegal. You cannot do those things. The press cannot do those things. And if the press prints something that's incorrect, they are supposed to retract that in a later edition and fix it. Does it always happen? No, but they're supposed to. So no libel, no slander. Like, it's supposed to be pretty clean cut, but it never is. All right. Freedom of religion. If you want to worship the groundhogs coming out of the forest that's by your house, you worship those groundhogs. But you can't force other people to worship those groundhogs. Remember, the two PP groups, Pilgrims and Puritans, came to this land, and where did they settle? It was near a rock. Well, one of them was near a rock. Plymouth, Massachusetts. They came because they wanted religious freedom from England. So they came here for that reason. So of course we're going to have freedom of religion in a country that was basically partly founded on freedom of religion. Many of the other areas were founded on a charter. Well, that was also a charter. Freedom of assembly. If you want to get in a big group and have a hacky sack party, you do that. Well, not right now because, well, we're kind of in coronavirus. But that brings me, by the government limiting the number of people who can get together and telling us the beaches are closed, is that taking away our freedoms? Or is that trying to protect us so that we are still alive for those freedoms? Think about that. Remember, they're not out there to hurt you or take away your freedom. They're out there to protect us so that later on we can have more freedom, so that we can get out of here. The safer we stay now, the sooner we're going to get through this. We also need a vaccination. And lastly, the right to petition the government. Remember, King George wasn't listening to any of the grievances that they sent to him, and then they wrote all of them out in the Constitution, and then they even wrote the redress and was like, hey, we sent all of these to you. Thanks for listening, bud. Nah. Well, we have that right today to petition the government if we don't like what they're saying or doing. Are we always going to be listened to? No, but you have the right to do it. Second Amendment. This one, oh my God, this one's hysterical. Get it? The right to bear arms. And in the video, Mr. DeVellis was lifting and showing off his muscles. So, what does the right to bear arms mean? Right to bear arms is we have the right to own arms. And another term for arms is guns. Now, if you look deeper into the Constitution, it says why we have this right. And if you're watching this video, you should write this down. All of you should be watching this video, because maybe this will be a question on a test one day. So ready? Let's say it. I'm going to say it. We have the right to bear arms to protect ourselves and to form a militia. What are we protecting ourselves from? Tyranny. So why do we have the right to bear arms? To protect ourselves from tyranny. That is why this amendment was created, to protect ourselves from tyranny. Who was a tyrant that was coming for us and maybe would have come back again? King George III, correct. Yeah, King Georgie Porgy. So that is why this amendment was created. If you look at all these amendments, they all have to do with something that King George and Parliament took away from us. Well, a majority of them. All right, getting this party started. Third Amendment. This one looks familiar. The government cannot require people to house soldiers during peacetime. So, why would we make this amendment? Why would it be the third? I don't know, the Quartering Act? Duh. So, this amendment says during peaceful times, they cannot tell us we have to allow soldiers into our house. But in today's time, a lot of us are welcoming soldiers into our house during Thanksgiving if they're far away from home, or Christmas. But you have to remember, it says during peacetime. I also want you to remember this. If your home is in the middle of a battlefield of war, you probably shouldn't stay in your home, because, war is probably going to destroy your home quite quickly. So even though it says during peacetime, you also have to use your brain a little and say, oh my God, there's a war outside my door. I should not be here anymore. That's just thinking. The Fourth Amendment. Okay. Probable cause. This one's important. Remember, they need a warrant to come into your home and search. You should also ask to see the warrant, according to Mr. Velis, because that guy showed a Chinese food takeout menu in the video Mr. Velis made. So, how do they get a warrant? Well, they have to have probable cause. So if there's weird smells coming from your home, like really, really weird, and your neighbors keep calling, the police can go to the local judge, get a warrant, and they can search your home. Also, if they see you doing something suspicious. Also, remember, if they see you doing the act of the crime, they don't need a warrant. They have you right there. They saw you doing the act of the crime. But this is where most of you got this wrong. Yes, TLO is an American citizen in New Jersey versus TLO and has the right to the Fourth Amendment. But she was a 14-year-old girl in a school building doing illegal things. So she doesn't have that right because she was endangering the many. When you enter a school building, we have every right, meaning the administration and the security. Teachers probably won't do it, but we have every right to search your belongings if we have suspicion, because we're protecting the many. So, when you're in a public area, you lose some rights because the many comes before you and your needs when it comes to you doing illegal things. So was New Jersey, was TLO's rights really taken away? No, she was doing illegal things and being bad. Everybody knows there's no smoking allowed in school. It was a song from like the 80s. And so she tried to be smooth and say she has these rights, but she's in a school building. You give up some of those rights. Sorry, TLO. You lost that one, girl. I plead thou fifth. Okay. So, what is the Fifth Amendment? They have to read you your rights. When you are accused of a crime, they have to tell you what you've been accused of. So that means writ of habeas corpus cannot be suspended. So they tell you what you've been accused of. When can it be suspended, though? letting you think on that. It can be suspended when the public is in immediate danger. So, you're told what you did, and you have to be told your rights. So, Caitlin Elizabeth English I, queen of everything. You have been arrested for being too queenly. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you can say will and can be used against you in a court of law. Yeah, and then you have the right to a lawyer. If you can't afford a lawyer, you'll get one, blah, 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 blah. So that is your Fifth Amendment. So when someone says, I plead the Fifth, that means they're going to remain silent. You can't remain silent forever, though. When your lawyer does show up, they usually do the talking for you. And if you watch a lot of cop shows or law shows, they usually tell the person to shut up and they do the speaking. Or they tell the person when they can speak and not. So that's, I plead the Fifth. All right. I don't even think I need to teach this because Mr. DeVellis did such a great job in this scene. And if you missed it, you need to go back and watch the Sixth Amendment because that was probably one of the greatest things I've ever watched in my life. But it is the right to a speedy, fair, and public trial. Why would we get a public trial? I don't know, because King George III was sending people who he believed were treason doers, I don't know what I just said, back to England for unfair trials, and he was judging them, or he was having his own courts judge them, and he was not giving them public trials. So, in America, we have the right to a speedy, fair, and public trial, and a lawyer. Can't afford a lawyer? One's given to you. Jury trials, the right to be judged by your peers who you don't know. You never know them because you're not supposed to know them. So it's a group of people picked on their opinions, and they ask them like specific questions. I'm teaching! So loud. So, if the case is a murder case and you get picked for jury duty and you've lost a family member or someone you love to murder, they're going to ask you questions, see if you're biased. And if you say, yeah, I had a family member who was murdered, you're not going to be on this jury trial because you're going to be a little bit more biased. So they pick people based on like past experiences. They need to know if they're racist, if they are women haters or men haters or any like thing, because anything like that can actually disturb the person's thinking and not make it fair. But why would we have the right to a jury? I don't know. King George took that away from the American colonists too. All right. The Eighth Amendment, no cruel and unusual punishment. So, in some states in America, they still have the death penalty. But if the person is put to death right away and it's not causing any pain and it's not cruel and unusual punishment, then it is legal. If they are tortured or it's slow or like just terrible, that is cruel and unusual punishment. You cannot torture people to figure out something. Remember, most of the time, torture techniques didn't work because they just tortured people into saying what they wanted them to say. Think of the Spanish Inquisition when they were trying to find out who was not Catholic in Spain with Ferdinand and Isabella. Yeah, they just tortured people until they got the answer they wanted. So no, in America, you cannot use cruel and unusual punishment. Oh, and the movie that Mr. DeVellis showed for this scene is Remember the Titans. Okay, the Ninth Amendment. Other rights not mentioned belong to the people. So think about it. Privacy is not mentioned. On your private property, you have the right to privacy. You don't have to let people in. If it's the police or something and they have a warrant, you gotta let them in. But we have the right to privacy in ourselves. And the 10th Amendment is federalism. So the sharing of power between state, local, and national/federal/central government. So Those are the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments, and we're just focusing on that right now. Then we're going to learn the other 17. And then a test. I don't know yet. I haven't figured it all out, so don't get scared. So, if you have any questions, please let me know. And good luck on your exercise that you're going to be doing today. And if you really just want to have a good laugh, you can watch Mr. DeVellis' video again. Goodbye. I hope you get outside today, even if you just open the window and breathe in this beautiful fresh air. It is so nice out this week. We are so lucky. Have a great day, my darlings.